Even if you ignore the fact that we got 2 incredible remakes this year, 2023 is shaping up to be one of the greatest years for gaming. If we're being honest, it might be the best year. And it just got me thinking, like, what years really pushed the industry forward and got everybody excited about video games? Now, just a couple of things. The first, I tried narrowing it down to 5, but I can't. I think all of these years are just amazing. The other thing, I really tried being a purist here, so there's no enhanced ports, no DLCs. I was trying to represent some fighting games, but those are kind of weird because their arcade versions and their console versions usually come out in different years. And while I know a game like Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring are some of the biggest games ever in terms of design and impact, I feel like the rest of their years were just so those years won't be here. And lastly, a list like this is weird because if I put a bunch of years from the 90s, people are going to call me a nostalgia whore, but if I put a bunch of more recent years, then somebody's going to be in the comments like, don't you know everything changed in 1985 when Super Mario Brothers released? Shut up, Adam. 2001. Yeah, I guess you could say some big impacts were made in 2001. Okay, that's not funny, I'm from New York. The greatest horror game ever? Yeah, 2001 did that. Bringing first-person shooters to consoles in the most polished way we'd ever seen? Yeah, 2001 did that too. Melee is still the most beloved competitive fighting game in Nintendo's long history. Just a couple of years ago, I went to a tournament in some random Manhattan basement filled with CRTs, body odor, and depression. It's kind of cool that even in the modern age, those things still happen, and Melee is so beloved that those things will probably happen for the next decade plus. Revolutionizing open world games? GTA 3, baby. Without GTA 3, things would just be so different today. Open world design would be radically different. There was also the birth of a legendary series with one of the coolest video game characters ever, my boy Dante and his Devil May Cry series. Fuck. Capcom, can you just please remake this game in the RE engine, please? And to cap it all off, we have the most prophetic and predictive video game story ever made. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. This game is so fucking deep and amazing and scary. It basically predicted me being able to share this video with all of you. It predicted social media. It predicted the actual media feeding us false information. It predicted just so much, and just talking about it, like, dude, it was talking about memes in 2001. It's not my favorite Metal Gear Solid game, but it definitely has the best and most important story. What's my favorite Metal Gear Solid, you ask? Well, I'll tell you, Josh. 1998. No, 1998 isn't my favorite Metal Gear Solid, but the original is, which released in 98. The best cast of villains. No. The best cast overall in any Kojima game. An amazing setting with Shadow Moses Island just dripping with aesthetics and vibes, and a legendary story. When I think of the PS1, I pretty much think of Metal Gear Solid first. Resident Evil 2 improved on its predecessor in almost every single way and brought in new ideas like the Stalker enemy, Mr. X. Crash 3 put a bow on the beloved trilogy of platformers. Xenogears is, to many, the pinnacle of JRPGs, where things get crazy philosophical and deep. Half-Life came out this year and shook things up with its unique style of FPS. I'm actually playing Half-Life for the first time this year, and I still feel like it holds up. I love how it virtually has no cutscenes, and it lets the player naturally discover what they're capable of. Okay, moving on to the next year. Oh, wait a minute. What else came out in 1998? Oh yeah, only the highest rated game ever made. If there was a holy trinity of video games, this would be the whole goddamn trinity. Ocarina of Time, the arguable GOAT of this whole form of entertainment. I just replayed it last month, and I wanted to ask myself as I was playing it, is Ocarina of Time a valid choice for the greatest game ever made? Like, is it really a 10 out of 10? It was my third time beating it, and I gotta say, yeah, it's a pretty safe answer for the best game ever made. So, you know how we have BC and AD? Well, in gaming we have BS and AS, before Skyrim and after Skyrim. It's funny how people say Nintendo milks their stuff. Meanwhile, Bethesda recently put out a $70 port of Skyrim for the Switch. Before Skyrim became a meme and was able to be played on your freaking fridge and blender, it opened millions of people's eyes to the open world genre and to RPGs. I'll be honest, it's hard for me to go back to Skyrim today, but you can't deny its importance. It could and should probably land on a top 20 most important video games list. But luckily, this was still a time where open world game design didn't dominate everything. For example, Gears 3 topped off one of the best trilogies ever. Arkham City is generally considered the peak of its own trilogy, and Skyward Sword, although at the time divisive in its controls, still had very solid game design, an amazing soundtrack and story, and it was the beginning of the whole Zelda timeline, which is its own thing. I spent years hating Skyward Sword, which sucks because Zelda's my favorite series, but when they brought it over to Switch and allowed me to play it with the joystick instead of the Wiimote, although it's not as perfect as playing with buttons, it really just let me see the game for what it is, and it's another Zelda masterpiece. Would I call it a 10 out of 10? No, but I think it's a pretty strong 9. I also have this vivid memory of walking in a Walmart in 2011, and one of my best friends was hyping up 2 games that came to the Xbox that year. The Mortal Kombat reboot, which I believe is the first time the series has really been beloved in a couple of years. And also, Portal 2. Portal 2. Goddamn, I mean, come on, do I really gotta talk about Portal 2, bro? That shit is fire. Hey, you remember that whole BS and AS joke that I made like a minute ago? That was a lie, because really it would be like B GTA 5 and A GTA 5. And can you guess what that stands for? GTA 5 came out 10 years ago. That is actually horrifying. Am I the only one that uses like media and pop culture to measure how fast time is moving? I played Persona 5 when I was 20, and I feel like I'm gonna play Persona 6 when I'm like 32. Christ. Anyway, GTA 5, it changed Rockstar as a company because of the unbelievable success of GTA Online. Basically, it turned Rockstar into Valve, where they made so much money that they kind of don't have to make games the way they used to, causing them to lose some of their most important people, which is a damn shame. But hey, GTA 5 is a good game. Speaking of good games, Nintendo fans, myself included at the time, were eating very good with arguably the best 2D Zelda and a fantastic Mario game that is 3D, but it has level design and inspirations from its 2D brothers. Each level in Super Mario 3D World feels like a little playground with different things to play with everywhere. And in case you're having a little bit too much fun, don't forget to get super depressed with The Last of Us. You know, the best game where you can smash a glass bottle in a dude's face and ponder upon multiple morality dilemmas. One of my absolute all-time favorites. Also, Pikmin 3, bro, that got me into the franchise, and in my opinion, it's kind of tied with Pikmin 1 as my favorite. I really like Pikmin 1 for making me race against time, much like Majora's Mask, but Pikmin 3 is like damn near perfect for a strategy game. Ninja Gaiden brought back an old NES franchise and somehow made it brand new with crazy kinetic action and awesome character designs. 10 out of 10, baby, 10 out of 10. Dragon Quest VIII is one of the fan favorites. The series' first mainline entry into 3D, and they killed it with some amazing Akira Toriyama designs that luckily don't look cliche and look like everything else that he does, a fun story, and of course, fantastic music. It's a top 5 Dragon Quest for me, and probably a top 20 JRPG, and probably a top 5 PS2 game. Also on the PS2 was Metal Gear Solid 3, which gave fans what they wanted after 2. It gave us Snake, it gave us a simpler, more movie-like story, it gave us the great villains again, opening up the menu a bajillion fucking times to do menial tasks. Okay, nobody wanted that, but it's Kojima, we forgive him. If Death Stranding 2 came out and people opened up the case and there was just Kojima's spit in the case, I'm sure there would be people like fucking forgiving him for that too. Half-Life 2 shook up the industry with its physics-based puzzles. Pikmin 2, most people love over Pikmin 1. A lot of people swear Pikmin 2 is the best of the trilogy, but for me personally, it was my least favorite. Too many caves. And it's kind of hard for me to get a feel on this because I don't know this franchise that early on well, but I think a lot of Halo fans still say Halo 2 is their favorite to play. I don't think they say it's the best, but I think they say it's their favorite. The only real competition it has is... Yo, do you hear that? Halo 3, baby! Jesus, man, I get goosebumps every time I hear that theme. Halo 3 was my personal entry into the series, and the amount of hours me and my buddies spent playing it on Xbox Live was just stupid. I really loved the standard Slayer mode and maps, but custom games, man, oh my god, so many good Infection maps. these custom games just got batshit crazy. I remember there was literally a map where you were in the World Trade Center when 9/11 was happening. Okay, I can't have two 9/11 jokes in the same video, but I swear that was a real map. Somebody in the comments, please back me up. That was a real map. I was like okay at Halo 3, better than most competitive games, but I always just got an extra kick out of teabagging and talking shit to people on Xbox. It was just good times. Another big multiplayer game that made a huge fucking tidal wave was Team Fortress 2, inspiring certain other games. Metroid Prime 3 is great, and the last entry in the Prime series. No, you can't convince me that Prime 4 is ever happening. And then, I'm sorry, did we get two of Dylan's favorite games ever made in 2007? Two of the most important and awesome games ever made? Oh, yeah, I think we did. Super Mario fucking Galaxy, baby. It made the Wiimote not feel like a stupid shake weight, and it proved that just because a series is over 2 decades old doesn't mean it's out of new and exciting ideas to show you. This game is just it's near and dear to me, man. I really think you can make a strong argument for this being the best 3D Mario. The level designs are top tier, it's aged better than Super Mario 64, it has less bugs and weirdness than Sunshine, which like I said in the past is my favorite 3D Mario, but this one is just so polished. It doesn't have too much like an Odyssey. I don't know, man, maybe this is my favorite? I mean, God, I'm going through like an existential crisis just thinking about how good this game is. Portal 1 is great. That's the best segue I had. Personally, I like Portal 1 better than Portal 2. It has a slightly darker story and lonelier tone to it. And I actually found one of my old video essays on my last laptop. I mean, that was when I was like 16. That video essay was about Portal 1 and how much it like blew my mind. I think I'll upload it to this channel once I hit like a certain subscriber milestone. I'm not sure, but I love Portal 1 so much, man. Like those last like 2 hours are amazing. And everyone, please stand for another GOAT, Lord Bioshock. Honestly, Bioshock vs. Bioshock Infinite is a tough call for me. It's like a really hard decision, but Bioshock 1 just had everything. If you haven't played Bioshock, if you haven't played Bioshock, bro, what are you doing? Play Bioshock, you beautiful idiot. Just because I saved this year for the end of the video doesn't mean it's my favorite, but it's really close. It might be my favorite if I really thought about it. 2010. This was a time when the term indie game really started to mean something. And two of my favorites were Limbo, which has an amazing vibe and tone to it, and Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy pretty much created my love of 2D platformers. I played this game for so many hours, both alone and with my friends, trying to conquer the toughest levels. I must have spent 10 or 20 hours alone just trying to unlock the kid, and I just couldn't do it. My thumbs hurt so much. I was able to beat the first level, but damn, that second level is just too much for me. I just played Mass Effect 2 for the first time last year, and man, Mass Effect 2 makes Mass Effect 1 look like dog shit. The crewmates are just so much better. They're so good that the whole game is centered around them. And all that praise I just shined on Mario Galaxy can basically be applied to Mario Galaxy 2. I think it loses a little something by not having a hub world and possibly having too many stars. I'm not sure. I plan to go back and finally 100% it later this year. 242 is still way less than Odyssey, but if Super Mario Galaxy 1 allowed Nintendo to build whatever levels they wanted, Mario Galaxy 2 gave them a chance to master that newfound freedom. It took me a while to learn that video games can have deep stories that really stay in your mind. I think the first game to really show me that was the original Red Dead Redemption. John Marston is one of my favorite video game protagonists, and I'll just never forget getting lost in the world and going to Mexico for the first time, feeling like, holy shit, there's more map, there's more game, and man, just that ending. Ugh, and the multiplayer was really fun too. So since this is the ending of the video, I might as well put a game here that is emblematic of saying goodbye. My favorite Halo game, Reach, was the last Halo made by Bungie, and I think a lot of people would say is the last great Halo game. It's been a while since I even touched Reach, but I remember loving the story and of course the online, which me and my friends spent way too much time on instead of studying and doing homework. Halo Reach is probably the reason I'm making this video and not like a scientist or something. Bungie once again aced it and delivered to us a fantastic game and a fantastic farewell. Not only was this the end of Bungie's time with Halo, it was the end of the golden age of Halo. So yeah, basically that was just an excuse for me to gush over a lot of great games. While it's easy to get negative about things like microtransactions and DLCs and broken games, we really do and have been getting a lot of groundbreaking shit for the last decade plus. I know a lot of people are going to say I didn't have enough 90s representation, and that's fair. I loved the 90s so much, like before it became a stupid meme to love the 90s and the whole 90s kid thing. But I just feel like in terms of games that really broke barriers, pushed design forward, and still hold up today, the years that I listed have plenty of those games. Thank you so much for your time. Peace.